just a few months prior to the start of the year 2020, my mother died, which provided quite a framework to view the events that soon unfolded in the aftermath of that. I remember at the very beginning of 2020, I was in a real prophetic mood and telling some of my younger coworkers that, be paying attention. 2020 is going to be an important year. It's going to be referenced in future history time and time again. And oh my fucking God, did that turn out to be a correct assessment of what kind of winds were blowing. Just barely a month and a half later, the lockdown began. An event that I still say is a slowly unspooling soft apocalypse. And in the midst of all this, something that kind of got overlooked is while all this other chaos is going on, suddenly our government's starting to try to tell us that aliens are real, but they still don't want to say it or not say it, which is suspicious in and of itself. Now, I bring up my mother in part because she was a big believer in things like ghosts and alien visitation and ancient aliens. I mean, since I was a kid, but, heavily reinforced in the latter decade of her life by, the content that was to be found on the supposed History Channel and the supposed Science Channel and all that kind of stuff that you have on cable television, fueling hours upon endless hours of arguments about whether or not aliens exist. And so, I, in my own way, I feel like I've kind of honed my thinking on these things over the years, and now presented with all this, which, thank the gods, all came out after she was dead, so I don't have to listen to this bullshit from her anymore. So, where to begin? Assuming that, like everything that's on the internet's being listened to by algorithm and, ultimately being cataloged by the greater, tech moguls and intelligence agencies that, have created this labyrinthine bureaucracy around the body politic of the modern world. I know that you guys don't like people on the internet saying things that like undermine trust and authority, especially your authority and all that kind of stuff. Well, I get that. It's a perfectly natural reaction. In a horrible way, the internet's like a gigantic wall of graffiti, and you don't want your reputation besmirched just by some random nobody saying that Coke sucks. You feel like you got to go over there and paint over Coke sucks, and eventually, if you're Coke and too many people start saying Coke sucks, you start to get kind of angry about it and all that kind of stuff. You want to shut down people, even as they just start to type out Coke sucks. You gotta put an end to that. All that kind of thinking. Well, the thing is if, you want people to have trust, it's incumbent upon you to behave in a trustworthy fashion. And I don't know how to break it to you guys, but long before the internet and Alex Jones and the X-Files even, people already were kind of distrustful. In large part because, time and time again, like the people would find themselves being told years after the fact that, oh yeah, that was kind of a lie, tee-hee. So, people, you can fool the younger generation for a time, but as people go through the course of their lives, they just can't help but notice shit. And shutting down people's ability to write graffiti on this digital wall that is the internet isn't going to stop them from drawing the same conclusions they were drawing long before the digital wall was ever there to write upon in the first place. All it does is just makes people realize that how many other people are also writing on the wall about the same thing, and maybe perhaps that's really the subconscious thing that you don't want getting out there. But this whole alien thing, okay, so one way or the other, it reveals a lie. If it's true, the government has been observing things that it can't explain by human technology and is not, alien Russian spy craft or Chinese drones or just the weird reflections that radar is going to create when, hitting something that's designed for stealth or any of that kind of stuff. These are actual, real, unidentified things that, whether or not you can't definitively say are alien in origin, they're doing things that appear technological in basis and exceeding our limits of what we're capable of doing with our model of physics. If that's true, that means that for decades you've been lying to people about a fundamental nature of reality, and also how is that true? But you're covering that up. But at the same time, though, the stuff about aliens being found and held at Area 51, or all the various UFO abduction stories that people have had, and the homemade footage stuff, all those ships that were saw over Mexico City that one time, and all what's up with all those incidents? Are those still bullshit? Having taken for a long time the stance that none of this is real, I am, I guess, biased towards being suspicious towards the whole thing. However, I would like to think that no one's that crazy that they want to, do the Hail Mary pass of trying to do a massive global psyop, faking an alien invasion threat to get everyone on the same page just so they can maintain global hegemony. I would really like to think that would just be paranoid thinking, and that there is something going on, and that you just don't know how to tell people that you don't know what the fuck's going on, because that makes you look ineffective. I can also get that, but as I say, though, it means that to people's point of view, even if there might be rationale behind the lie, a reason why it's classified for a variety of reasons, but it's still, at the end of the day, lying to the populace about something that's reflective of a fundamental fact about nature that people should be aware of in terms of our ability to actually be cognizant of what's going on around us. And if it's untrue, and if this is some made up thing trying to dangle some keys in front of the conspiracy theory minded people so that they get back into a contained box chasing Sasquatch and UFOs instead of paying attention to the Alex Jones shit of satanic cabals worshiping owl statues in the night and all that kind of shit. Why would you need to be dangling keys to get people back over into the older school, you kooky UFO conspiracy theorist template? And also okay, so now you're willing to lie about a fundamental fact about reality. Either way, this doesn't make y'all look good. And so if you want to be viewed with trust, you have to act trustworthy, and that's not the fault of the people, and that's not the fault of people pointing it out to you. Am I trying to hurt you, or am I trying to help you get your shit together? Because I would like it if the people running my planet had their shit together. My God, I know, controversial, right? Very rebellious, very rebellious. I still have just core logical problems with the idea that aliens have come here and yet would pussyfoot around so much upon coming here. The vastness of space, the power requirements, whether or not you have faster than light travel or you've gone the slow way, you've invested a tremendous amount of power. And to be able to cross that vast gulf of infinite black, to be able to find this little world with water and air and all that kind of stuff, just in a nice little sweet spot in orbit of its little tiny average yellow sun, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So that you then hide from the people. If you have the casual ability to throw that kind of power around, you wouldn't give a shit about people not seeing you. You wouldn't hide out on the edges and only abduct rednecks and all that kind of stereotypical nonsense. When we stumble around through the jungles and stuff, exploring and looking for specimens to capture, for scientific analysis on our own planet, do we try to hide from the raccoons and the anacondas? No. And we just like bludgeon through the fucking thing. Hell, we'll take a goddamn tractor with us if we want. I still don't like the ancient aliens concept, not just because of the implied racism about, ancient peoples not being able to, like, figure this shit out. It creates this redactive loop that's very much like religion and the creation of reality and the creation of God and where did God come from and all that kind of stuff. If human technology and science and knowledge is so advanced that we couldn't have figured it out on our own, then why were the aliens that taught it to us able to figure it out on their own? Or did someone teach them? And then how come those guys were able to figure, like, at what point someone in the great chain of being in the history of the cosmos had to be the first one to figure this shit out? And so why were they able to do it but not us? Kind of thinking. Plus also, like, giant stone buildings, especially pyramids, that's like the easiest large structure that you can build. Little babies with toy blocks can build pyramids. It might be the impressive labor to have moved all that stone that distance and stacked it precisely and all that kind of stuff. But I would like to think that beings that are capable of exerting the kind of power to cross that great gulf of stars to come here, if they had come to Egypt, shouldn't there be like a solid titanium arch straddling the Nile, or a like mile-high statue of Cthulhu, or something a bit more obvious and actually honestly impressive, and clearly not something that but a bunch of butt-picking Babylonians from the year 8000 BC could have done on their own? Like, oh my God, a bunch of people sat around and carved out the face on a big rock and made it into a sphinx. There's no way they could have done that. Oh my, it had to be alien. Like, that's just always been a ridiculous argument. But, by saying that aliens, not aliens, are being spotted by U.S. airships, like creating like a new little subdivision of the Navy or some shit. Shouldn't this be under Space Patrol, under their auspice? Or are they just purely just to help manage satellites on behalf of the Air Force? There's logical inconsistencies with this whole thing, and so it makes it really hard to buy it. And yet, it's one of those stories that, like, all the news agencies bring it up and talk about it earnestly. Even some of the YouTube news people who are supposed to be polyprecious and independent compared to those biased people over at CNN and MSNBC and Fox and OAN and all the others. They're all like weirdly on the same page about talking about this alien shit. There's not much in the way of a voice of skepticism, but, I don't know. Like I said, I have filtered through a bias of having long ago taken the stance that, like, I can't accept the logical fallacies that you have to accept, that aliens have come here. Even though they're not even really going to be animals necessarily, they're not going to have quite the same chemistry we have. There's going to be a perfect fit for this planet. There's going to be little differences because a whole lot of weird shit happened in the chain of events that led to modern Earth's biology. But whatever they are, in order for them to have achieved the ability to build machines and harness abstract energies and cross the Gulf of Stars and make interesting, weird, speculative materials, they're going to have to be some sort of analog to an animal of some sort, even if we might call them fungi or plant-based at their core, or none of the above, because once again, alien chemistry and alien biology will lead to slightly different results. But either way, they'll still have something that's akin to an animal's prioritization. You're not going to have wasted your time coming all this way. Even if you're coming to study us, you're not going to be studying us in secret, because we don't study shit in secret like that. Like the animals are quite aware of the cameras being shoved into their nests, filming them and their babies, kind of a thing, but what are you going to do about it? I feel it would be more glaringly obvious It's kind of the thing, as I've said before in other videos, what is the difference between a blue whale and an alien? Well, I can pay someone money to go see a blue whale, but I can't pay someone enough money to go see an alien. I feel there's a critical difference to be found there between what is known and what is believed. And until they shoot one of these things down and parade it around in front of everybody, which is what human beings would have done if any of this shit had been real in the first place. You know, if the Air Force or Army had shot down an alien craft over New Mexico at the Roswell incident, would we have hidden it, or would we have paraded that around in front of the world just to show off to the, you know, like make us look cooler compared to the Russians? It's like, oh yeah, you can launch a satellite. Well, bitch, look what the fuck we shot down, you know, kind of stuff. I've always been like in the realm of like, this is probably, you know, tricks of technology interacting with the various kinds of experimental technologies we ourselves are inventing, if true at all. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know what you should think. What do you mean? How are you supposed to be able to watch a YouTube video from someone talking for this long without them telling you what your opinion is? I don't know. If you have one, leave it below in the comments. Hit like and subscribe. And as always, the truth is out there.